Why does love have to be?
Everyone has a story. Stories have power. They help us understand each other.
That we made.
This is Jessop's Journal.
Hello!
Great to see you, Ashley.
Me too.
Let's go chat. Ashley, it's time to sign into Jessop's Journal.
Okay.
But it feels like just yesterday.
I'm honored.
When I looked into those blue-green eyes and I could finally see, I almost didn't say the words out loud, 'cause I could.
Hi, I'm Doug Jessop. Welcome to this episode of Jessop's Journal. With me today, Ashley Hess. Ashley, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we did do the social distancing and the mask and all that stuff coming in, but now it's time to do the hand
Yes.
sanitizing. Thank you to the guys at Five Wise. Yeah, they also do make adult beverages, just saying. So, you know, it's interesting. Ashley has people going, okay, who the heck is this person? But some people might actually kind of know you. But I actually found out about you because of an interview I did with a gentleman by the name of Jay Warren.
Yeah, Jay's the best. He's
Okay.
awesome.
Jay is a very, very talented musician, and I'm just saying that, you know, you kind of are giving him a run for his money. Sorry, Jay, I'm just saying, you know, okay. Why would people know you musically, you think?
I mean, I would hope that they've heard my songs, but I'm 99.9% of people know me from American Idol.
The broken heart. Waking up is
Just forewarning everybody, actually, it's really, really cool. We were able to convince her to do a 3-song music set for Jessop's Jukebox that'll be coming up soon. So, you know, I think we're gonna have some fun with that. So thanks, by the way, for doing
Yeah,
that.
of
That was a
course.
blast.
I'm afraid this crazy brain of mine will push you away. You say
Where did you grow up is, I guess, the typical question that you get. So let's ask that one.
Yeah, so I grew up in Fremont, California, Bay Area. Love California. Absolutely love California. It was such a fun place to grow up. It was close enough to San Francisco, to the city, also close enough to the beach where I just felt like I got the best of both worlds. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
the best.
So, yeah, I grew up 14 miles from the beach. Down in
Yeah.
Southern California. It's like, oh, yes.
It's a dream.
You know, back in the day when the hair was, I have pictures to prove, the hair down to here.
Yeah.
That kind of fun stuff.
The beach hair.
Oh, yes. So how in the world did you get into the music thing? Not just Idol, but just music as a
Yeah,
whole.
I feel like my story, my journey to music is not typical for most artists. I've always loved music. Like, my dad has an incredible voice, my mom plays the piano. So music was always around in my house, but I was more into sports. Music was more of a hobby for me. And I moved to Utah right after high school thinking I wanted to be a dental hygienist because the Utah Valley University has a great program out here. And so I was doing that, and I realized very quickly I didn't want to do that. So I just kind of was thinking like, okay, well, what do I want to do? And I had some friends that were in the local music scene, and I saw a lot of people in Utah that were pursuing music, and it caught me off guard. I mean, you don't think of Utah as being a place on the map for music at all, really. And so it just really sparked my interest, and because it's always been something that I love, and I was like, well, I'll just kind of like pick this up kind of as a hobby still, and it just grew and grew. And I initially started releasing videos on YouTube, just covers of other people's songs. And I met a guy, Eric Thane, who's an incredible videographer, and he also does music production. So we did these high quality productions of cover songs, and I loved it. And it was fun, and I started picking up traction on YouTube, and I was like, okay, this could actually work. And after about like a year and a half, 2 years of doing that, I realized I don't really want to sing other people's music for the rest of my life. So, yeah. So I was like, well, I mean, my musical background to that point was my parents had me take piano lessons in like 7th and 8th grade, and I played by ear, but that was it. Like I was that kid that was like dragging my feet to practice, like, I don't want to do this is stupid, whatever. And I just want to play soccer, I just want to play volleyball, but I could always play by ear. Like, I could hear something and figure it out on the piano, which was great. But I thought that was wrong because I'd go to piano practice and like be trying to read it. But I was just like, if you just play it, I can figure it out. So just play it for me. My teacher would be like, yeah, no, like you need to learn how to read music. But so I thought it was wrong. And so I just didn't connect that until later, how much of a tool that would become for me. So once I realized I didn't want to sing other people's songs, I didn't want to do covers forever, then I was like, well, I need to learn how to write music. And so I just kind of started dabbling around in that, and then writing, and then performing more and performing my own music. And that's when I was like, okay, wait, this is what I want to do. So.
Yeah. Do you remember the first time that you performed in front of a group other than your family?
Oh, well, it took me even so long to perform in front of my family. I was like so nervous and shy. But yeah, I do. It was back when in Utah, there's this little restaurant called Sammy's, and there were probably like 12 people there. And I knew the owner, and he was like, I want to get you to sing, like come up and sing. And I was like dragging my feet to that, because I'm like, I sing to my windshield and in the shower. And yeah. But I had sang in front of people before, but I just, I hadn't sang any of my own songs in front of people, so I was terrified. But I just remember, it was like mostly my family and some friends, and then like a couple random people. And I just remember the feeling after. I was like, okay, that was terrifying, but once I was doing it and once I was done, I was like, I want to do more of that. I want to keep doing that.
So what did it feel like when, what was the reaction after you did that last breath of that first song? What happened next?
I felt like completely free, because I'm like, if I can be that vulnerable and open with, it was like my family and friends, but like a couple strangers, but just like put myself in that position to be that vulnerable and open in front of people and expose myself that way, of like songs that I had written and things that I was feeling, and just like share that with people that way. Like, I'm like, I can do anything like that. Like that's so, and especially when I'm like, at that point, like I had no training, I had no, like nothing. And so it was just like, well, this is just what I figured out how to do, writing songs in my bedroom, and now I'm like doing it in front of people. And it just was this feeling of just being completely free and open and just alive.
So you play guitar, and you're an excellent keyboard
Thank
person,
you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other musical instruments?
I wish.
Well, you could do it by sound. Let's pick an instrument.
I know.
What the heck?
I really want to learn drums. That's like something I really want to learn.
That.
But I played clarinet in like 5th grade.
Yes.
But my parents still have my clarinet, so like found it at their house and played it, and I'm like, okay, I still.
Yes, it's now in a box on the wall.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like, wow.
But yeah, mainly just keyboard and some guitar and drums eventually. I'm saying that now, so that way I'll learn. So by the next time I come back,
there you go. Okay, we'll just get you to do every single musical part. We'll just keep taping it.
Perfect.
So what's the favorite song? And I realize it's kind of like picking your favorite kid, but out of all the songs that you've written so far, is there a favorite that kind of stands out?
Okay, well, that's really tricky, because I have multiple favorites for different reasons. I feel like there are some that I have that are like a song that hopefully if you'll listen later, you'll hear, but it's called Like That. And that for me was the first time I remember feeling like I sat down to write a song that I was able to express exactly what I was feeling so quickly. And I felt like it was an accurate representation of what I was feeling. Because a lot of times as a songwriter, the battle is just like, okay, how do I convey this feeling, like what I'm feeling? How do I get that out that justifies, or that does it justice of what I'm feeling? And so I remember it was just like, after this tough breakup for me, and I was like, okay, how do I express this? And I felt like it flowed out of me, and it was one of those moments where it just, like, I sat down and it just like came out. And I feel like sometimes as a songwriter too, like I have a song that I just finished that I actually really love, but it took me a year to finish it. Like I started it and I kept trying to write it, and I'm like, that's not right, that's not right. So for Like That, what was really special for me with that one was, not only do I feel like it captured the feeling that I was feeling really well, but it also just, there was this sense of flow that I felt like it was coming through me, which was really really
what
cool
was
experience.
the feeling that Ashley Hess was feeling like that?
Oh my God, it's not one feeling, it was like 800 bajillion feelings. But it was mainly just like this relationship that was the most important relationship in my life at that point, and was just like the most beautiful relationship I'd had up until that point, and it was ending. And it was like, it was hard because no one did anything wrong, but he was moving to New York, and I was eventually moving to Nashville, and he was also a musician. And so we just decided, like, we need to give this a fair shot. Like, we don't want to hold each other back from anything. Like, it's probably just best we go our separate ways. And so, but we both still loved each other. So it was like, just this, like heart-wrenching goodbye of like, okay, I love you, and you're amazing, but we just need to do our own thing. And so it was just, yeah, it's hard.
You know what that means?
What does that
I'm
mean?
going to put you on the spot right now. Okay. So,
Oh no.
nothing like a command performance on Jessup Journal. So, Ashley Hess,
Oh no.
I'm not kidding. I want to hear a bit of
Like that. Okay.
Okay.
I didn't want it to end like that, but I told you to go. I don't usually get like that. Just thought that you should know. I couldn't look into your crying eyes. I didn't want to see it. I left, but I refused to say goodbye, 'cause I couldn't believe it. I didn't know that I could feel like that. I didn't know that you would leave like that. Why does love have to be like that?
There you go.
I had to like close my eyes. I'm like, I'm gonna like get emotional.
So, you talked about the American Idol thing. I
Yeah.
mean, what's the application process like for? I mean, we're gonna pull the curtain back to the reality of, I'm used. There's a whole bunch of cameras here.
Totally.
There's a whole bunch of lights, but people really generally don't know what happens. So,
Well, I didn't know either, and it's interesting because I had a lot of friends that had been on the show, so I had kind of an idea of what to expect a little bit, but you have no idea until you're in it. Like you think you know, and then you're in it, and you're like, I had no idea this was what was coming. So it's interesting. I had just moved to Nashville, and I had a friend that had reached out, and he worked with American Idol, and he was a casting producer, and he reached out. He was like, hey, I really want you to come audition. And I was like, I just moved to Nashville. Like, I moved here to write and to network. Like, that was not even on my radar. But he was like, no, you really should. And he came out to Nashville, and we wrote together, and it was awesome. And I was like, okay, like, I guess I'll give this a shot. But it's interesting. It's not really like what you see on TV. Like, it's not just like you show up and Lionel Richie, Luke Bryant, and Katy Perry are there. Like, no.
Really? Come on.
Right? That would be nice. But so I actually lucked out, and I did an audition in front of the executive producers first. So I skipped. There's a couple rounds that you usually do before that, but because my friend worked with Idol and he was like a casting producer, he's like, I can get you an audition with the executive producers. So I was like, okay. So I went in and I auditioned for the executive producers of the show, which was so intimidating because they're like, you get to know them as the show goes on, and they're like the kindest, they're great people, but like when you're auditioning, they just sit there like this, and they're just like staring at you, and it's like, okay, not intimidating at all. Let me just impress you. And so, yeah, I went and auditioned for them, and it went well, and they're like, great, we want you to audition for the judges. And I was like, great. So then I was able to audition for the judges, but that wasn't until like 2 months later. So the process is so much more spread out than you see on TV. But then I went and auditioned for the judges in New York, actually, and that moment changed my life.
do you remember the song that you performed for them?
I'm gonna sing Don't Know Why by Nora Jones.
Perfect.
Very good.
I'm gonna play piano.
Oh, great.
Good.
So I'm gonna swing over here.
Don't know why you didn't win.
I waited till I saw the sun. I don't know why
I didn't come. I left you by the house of fun. Don't know why I didn't come. When I saw the break of day, I wish that I could fly away instead of kneeling in the sand, catching teardrops in my hand. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, one of my favorite songs.
You obviously did pretty good on the show.
The word is called solid. That's about as solid a performance as I could ever tell you.
Thank
And I
you.
really love that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And then you went on tour, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so I put together a little tour afterward of just like, I just wanted to get out and play as soon as the show was over. And so I just that whole summer right after, because the show ended in May. And so like June, July, August, even a little bit through September, I was just out performing, and it was a blast. It was crazy to go to places, like I had never performed in New York before, besides like that was where I auditioned, but I had never performed there. And to go and have so many people come to a venue that I'd never played at, to a place I'd never played, a city I'd never played, and all these people, and they knew who I was, and it was amazing. And it was like that in so many different cities, and it was just like, this is wild.
And then that little COVID thing.
Oh, little COVID thing, yeah. Yeah, that, man, I mean, that just uprooted everyone's lives, essentially, but especially as an artist, like and as a musician, and right after, like I had been on American Idol and then spent the whole summer touring, and I had all these big plans for this year of like touring and recording and releasing and all this stuff, and just have it to all just kind of come crumbling down. It was
Kind of shriveled.
Man, it was hard. It was really hard. Last year was a rough year for me.
So what'd you do with your music then?
Well, I will say it was really hard because I had all these plans and all of things set to be performing and doing all this stuff, and I was looking forward to it. And so initially it like took me a month to like really wrap my brain around like, okay, this isn't happening. Like I need to shift gears a little bit. And so I just spent so much time writing. And so it ended up being such a beautiful thing for me to be able to write. And I also got my own little home studio set up so I could learn how to record my own music. So I'm like, okay, if I can't be going and recording with people, if I can't be out on the road, like I need to be focusing on writing and at least learning how to make good enough demos that I can send to people so I can still be creating music. And so the time, as hard as it was to be home and not out performing, it was really productive and just a really good learning time for me, and a really good time for just to be focused on creating, which was good.
Now, music to me is a whole different language, and
Totally.
it seems like, I hate to say it, but some of the best writing comes through pain.
Oh my goodness, yeah,
Okay.
totally.
So there's a little tagline that I've heard about you. That you're a happy girl that sings sad songs. I mean, what's the deal with that?
I feel like for me, music is such a therapeutic thing for me, and writing is that way too. It's just a form of catharsis, and it's just a way for me to express feelings. And I'm like when people meet me, I'm very like outgoing and happy and optimistic for the most part. And so then they hear my music and they're like, are you okay? Like, are you? And I'm like, listen, this is how I process the feelings that I don't always share with people. The harder things are the things that just tend to be more sad or melancholy or whatever it is, or heavier things. It's just easier for me to process that in songwriting because it really is like a form of therapy for me. So that's why a lot of my music comes out on the more sad side of things. Mm-hmm. But I have some that are, happier, but I just feel like it's easier for me to get into that place and just like express that and release that way than it is because I'm already such like a happy and like positive person that I express that so much already. So when I'm writing, I'm like tapping into something a bit deeper.
Now, I will say, and we don't want to let the cat out of the bag too much, but there's a new song
Yes.
that we actually had you perform.
Yeah.
And I love the message that, the world's always trying to tell us, you got to be in this box, that box, all that
always.
kind of stuff. But sometimes you just need to kind of, take life with a grain of salt.
Yes.
Well, since we are here, at the shores of the Great Salt Lake, a great place to, have the premiere of your song. So,
Yes.
so I am glad that you did that one.
Me
Where
too.
did that one come from?
Grain of Salt I wrote in Nashville with two of my friends. Mimi Knowles, who's actually an artist in Utah, and an artist friend of mine who was also a producer named Saren. And I remember it was like 6 months after American Idol, and I still at this point had so many people. What's interesting about being on a show like that is you go from like some people knowing who you are, like all of a sudden everyone just has access to you immediately, and just like my following just shot up like crazy, and all these people all of a sudden knew who I was, and all of this unsolicited advice and all of these unsolicited opinions, which for the most part were coming from a good place. Like people are just excited about you and excited about what you're doing, and they want to be a part of it, and so they'll be like, oh, you should do this, or oh, I love when you sing this way, or do this or do that. And it got to the point where it wasn't even just about my music, but it was like about my life and about like what I was doing, and it was just shocking to me that I'm like, people I did not even know, like strangers on the internet were reaching out with all of these opinions, and I was like, And connection is a huge thing for me. Like and that's something I love about like the internet and social media nowadays is you're able to connect with people. But on the flip side of that, it's just like there's so much that you're being bombarded with all the time. And so I just remember like walking into that writing session and I was just so overwhelmed by like all of these opinions and all of this advice that people had. And I was like, I can't, I want to do me. I want to do it my way. Like I'm thankful that people are, invested, but I also just like, I can't please everybody. Like I have to just trust my gut and do it my way.
So you performed at Sammy's, and then you performed at Baby's Got Right.
Baby's All Right.
Baby's All Right in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
If you had the magic wand, okay, what is the venue that you want to perform at sometime in your career?
Okay, I have multiple, but Red Rock. Have you been to Red Rock or have you seen pictures of it? It is the most magical venue. The most magical venue. I have been wanting to play there ever since I decided I wanted to do this. So Red Rock. Mark my words, it's gonna happen.
Save me seats.
I'll save you seats.
Life kind of comes with scars. And the folks that make my journal,
Yeah.
Rustico, this is my journal. And it's got all kind of beat up scars and everything. And they actually made a journal for you.
Oh my God.
And yours is all as nice and fresh.
Brand spanking new. Wow. Wow, it has my name on it and everything?
And did they spell it right?
They spelled it
There
perfectly,
you go.
yes.
But,
Amazing.
they have
Wow.
a hashtag that says leave your mark. So, Ashley Hess, how do you want to leave your mark?
It's a profound question. Connection is a huge, it's just very important to me. It's for me to feel connected with other people, for me to feel connected with myself. I believe in God, so for me to feel connected with God and my Maker. And so I think something that's important to me is to help other people, just unify people in that connection. And I think the best way to do that is through love and just through just spreading that. And I that's the mark that I want to leave, is just helping people feel connected to other people, to themselves, to whatever they believe in, and just helping them feel like their life has purpose and that they are just beautiful human beings that are worth and worthy of so much, that I think sometimes we get down on ourselves and life is hard. Like you said, life is never boring. And it throws things at you left and right, and just reminding people that ultimately what's most important is each other and helping each other. So just that unity, love, and connection is the mark I want to leave.
Well said.
Thank you.
So I've got to, on camera, make sure that, I got your word here that you're going to save me seats, at the Grammys when you're up there, okay?
Oh yeah, I'm like, no, not if. When that happens,
okay.
When that happens,
There you
you
go.
got a seat.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for coming on. There's a couple other people we want to thank. The folks at Rustico that make my journals. Taylor Cooperative makes all my clothes. Of course, we got JW Custom Hats. The folks at Clear, have you ever thought about it? Totally serious. Watching your nose. Okay. And then, of course, you do have the folks at Five Wise Hand Sanitizing and, yes, adult beverages. Here's the thing I want people to remember. Stories have power. They help us understand each other. And sometimes those stories are told with people like her, Ashley Hess, through music. With another entry into Jessop's Journal, I'm Doug Jessop, ABC4 News.
3 times to read.